Shalom Chevre. Today is a big day. The suspense has been building for 4 years. Well, actually a little bit more than 4 years. As anyone who's been enjoying the past week and a half since Ma'avar ended can assure you, our late graduation feels a little bit more like an interruption to our summer than an end to our school year. The reason for our delayed graduation is Shavuot being last weekend. It's hard to think of a more relevant holiday. Like our ancestors, who spent days waiting at the foot of Mount Sinai after leaving Egypt, we too have spent days of anticipation since the end of Ma'avar waiting for graduation. Like the Hebrews of old, we stand at a moment of transition, about to leave the familiar to enter a new land. Some of us are following in their footsteps and heading towards Israel. For others, the new land fits not as neatly into this metaphor, but is still far away and strange, be it Louisiana, Minnesota, Colorado, or a distant and exotic corner of Waltham, Massachusetts. And besides transcending physical distances, we are also alike in being faced with new responsibilities. The people of Israel were gathered, about to be given the rules and responsibilities that would mark a life of freedom. We too are about to begin lives of independence, autonomy, and agency, following rules we elect rather than those set by our parents. At the senior Shabbaton, no one needed to get on a chair to stop us from singing Ana B'Koach for too long. We were being too inclusive. No one was willing to stop singing until everyone had had a chance to sing. It is bitter to remember that and to know it was our final Shabbaton. No more singing together. But it is sweet to realize that the 75 people who were so determined to include each other and to energize their community will bring that same energy and inclusivity to our next communities. The power of our community was on display 10 days ago at the premiere of X Marks the Plot, an original play by Gann Sr. The room was packed. Not only was the play hysterical and well-written, but in its showing displayed the strength of our community. It wasn't just current students who left singing about Detective Grant and Private Violet. It was out-of-school friends, former heads of school, and former students who were stepping foot in the building for the first time in years. The crowd alone was a recognition of how special the community we are leaving behind truly is. But it was also a promise that just because we are leaving doesn't mean we won't be back to visit, see a play, or maybe even attend a graduation. This, however, is just one example of how our class has made this school a home. Take Student Voices, a new program that coaxed out students with different and unfamiliar religious practices, financial backgrounds, or families, and gave them a platform to share their stories, giving voice to the quietest among us and strengthening our community. Giving voice to or the group of Gann seniors who wrote and published an article in the New York Times about their work with disability history, bringing light and original insight into an important field of history, and on a national stage, no less. These are examples of the particular strength and beauty of the community we are leaving behind, but they also show something more. They demonstrate talent. If they did it in high school, can anyone doubt we will be seeing their names in our newsfeed in the future, or in our playbills, or building pillars of our community? In other cases, there isn't even room for doubt that the journeys started here at Gann are merely the beginnings of much greater things. When the MVP of the Independent Schools Soccer League doesn't stop in high school, but continues on to be a soccer recruiting college, or when an article by a Gann student is published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, its legacy starts immediately, informing and bettering our understanding of how to keep our roads safe. It is exciting to be speaking to 75 people who are all in the midst of realizing their potential. Because not only is it powerful to realize that we've shaped the community of Gann over the past 4 years, but to also realize we are taking our first steps towards influencing the world at large, be it through sports, medicine, or media. Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks once said, "Tomorrow's world is born in what we teach our children today." It is difficult to think of ourselves no longer as children, but as adults. No longer to think of this moment as tomorrow's world, but as today. To look ahead and not see our next test, paper, or worksheet, but to instead see our education borne out over our future. Gan has brought us to a Bechira point about our future. This is not a new prospect. Rabbi Baker shared wisdom, parables, and values every week for 3 years, and many teachers and administrators have followed in his footsteps. We've been taught about personal dilemmas in a dozen different contexts, from health class to history to Jewish studies. Gan has given us the tools to propel us forwards, the values to guide us, and the memories to ground us. But Gan's greatest gift to us remains the question and the promise that has guided our school since its very first days. Who will you become? Today, we should celebrate what we've accomplished. We should be grateful for what we've been given, but we should also be excited. Why? Because we have spent the past 4 years finding ourselves and trying to rise to the challenge embedded in that simple question. Despite many impressive accomplishments represented in this crowd, I am certain they are merely first steps on a much longer path. Gan has prepared us well and pushed us far, but there's a promised land waiting on the other side of this mountain, and I cannot wait to see, hear, and read 75 different answers to this same oh-so-Gan question: who will you become? Yasher koach to all my classmates.